Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Justin with Core Work Node, and I'm happy to say that this is the final video for NGUI Basic series. We're going to be moving on to more advanced features after this video, aka the Intermediate series, and then going on from there. Uh, with that being said, I figured to finalize this, the Basic series, would be to do some or to do something that has different variations or different ways to accomplish it, and throw down the two easiest ways to do it or two most logical ways to do it for non-programmers and stuff like that. As you may have noticed, I try to tailor my basic series to non-programmers and designers and kind of ease into programming and stuff like that. So anyways, as you can probably see in the title, this is all about the position of sprites, how to position sprites and stuff like that. There's a few cheats. There's more than three. There's way more than three ways to accomplish this, but there's three ways that I've done, that I've actually used in production. And number one, we're going to be starting off with a way, just simply disabling, enabling. Number two, we're actually going to get the vector transform of the object and then reset it to that and all that good stuff. And number three will be the first intermediate episode in the intermediate series to show you how to do that. So without rambling any further, we're going to go ahead and do a quick rundown about all of this and pretty much what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, I've created a new menu. It's pretty much just a bunch of sprites and labels thrown together, and I'm calling it a main game menu, whatever, main game underscore menu. And I pretty much have it set obviously above the center of the screen, so it's it's kind of it's upper. It's not centered. This would be centered, and that's not what we want. So one thing that I've noticed a lot is when you're creating a UI, a lot of times you will create the object or position object where you want it to be in the first place. So you don't really have to worry about positioning. You can always spawn that object in that place that you designed it to be, and then allow the user to drag that object around. More advanced would be, let's say a PC game, for instance. They open a menu, then they open another menu. You would need to move the first open menu over and make room for the new one, etc. Again, that's going to be the intermediate series because we're talking about a lot of code at that point. Or not a lot, but we're talking about a little bit of C#. So there's a couple ways to accomplish this. And I've seen, there's a lot of ways to accomplish this, as I've said. But I'm going to show you a really, really easy way to spawn this menu right here. And pretty much right exactly where we want it. I designed it to be right here. This is where I want it to spawn. I don't want it to be zeroed out, and I'll show you again. So this is where I want it to be. So real quick, with it selected, or with the sprite you're trying to change the position of or spawn the position of, we're just going to disable it. Pretty much up in the inspector, just pretty much tick off that checkbox right next to the name, and it went invisible to us and also the user. But it's still in our hierarchy and it's still there. We can check the box, there it is, uncheck it, etc. So that's all great. If I hit play, try to do anything, obviously I can't interact with it, I can't spawn it because I haven't wrote the code yet. So I'm going to go over to our code block. I'm going to edit the script. And if you're wondering about the code block and also the button function, just go over to the second video in this series and it's all explained right there. Alright, so once I'm going to enlarge this real quick. So once we have our script open, obviously I've created a public void menu button for that's pretty much just a method for whenever I click the menu button to notify that method and execute it. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is create a public game object, and I'm just going to name this main menu. And the reason why we're not doing GameObject.find or GameObject with tag or whatever is because when the GameObject's disabled, we can't do a find function because it's not going to be able to find it. It's going to be able to find it when it's not disabled, but we obviously want to be able to re-enable it. We want to show and hide this menu in the location that it's currently at. Okay, and I'm also going to create a private boolean, and I'm just going to name this show main menu, and I'm going to go ahead and give it false, so equal it out to false, because it's not visible right now, the menu that is. And then in our public void menu button, what we'll do is we will do a if. We'll do if show main menu is equal to false. And I'll also cast down a else real quick. Why did that go there? There we go. Thought I forgot how to type for a second. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go to game object, or excuse me, we need to type main menu because we that's our public game object. And then we pretty much need to set if it's active or not. So we're going to set it to true. I'm going to explain this code in just a second, but I'm trying to run this down because I spent so much time talking. Alright, and then I'm going to reset our bool to true because at that point we will be showing. And then over here I will do the exact opposite. Set active is false. False. Okay. So a quick rundown of this code, and then we're going to see it in action. All I did was declared a new variable new game object variable and named it main menu, and then I pretty much set a private boolean show main menu, and I went ahead and equaled it out to false. And in our button method or on click method, what I did is I pretty much just said, hey, if show main menu is equal to false, then main menu dot set active is true, and then obviously we need to change our boolean to true because at that point we are showing the menu. Let's set the boolean to true because we showed it, and else we're going to main menu dot set active to false, which means we're going to deactivate the game object, and then show main menu is equal to false because it's false at that point. We deactivated it. So I'm going to Control S, file save, whichever you prefer. I'm going to let our script go ahead and compile in Unity. It'll take just a second here. Okay, and now in our script, under our code or for our code block, you can see that we've got main menu, none, game object. So it needs a game object. We'll drag our main game menu over there. We'll press play. And this button is rigged up to cast this function or execute this function menu button. So we'll just press it, and as you can see, it shows the menu. It shows it where we originally designed it to be, and that's fine. We could add a drag, function or whatever to allow the user to drag it. We can turn it on and off. So that's a simple way of doing it. And that's pretty much it for the first way. I mean, it's that simple. if you know, if you don't want to clutter up your hierarchy and you would rather spawn a prefab up here for something as simple as like a main menu, you know, the second option would be the way to go, and I'm going to show you that right now. But if you're just, if you're doing a little simple game, why not? Leave it in the hierarchy. You know where you want your little menu to go. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't really know performance-wise. I know for huge assets there's a performance difference between spawning a new prefab game object than just disabling one, as far as loading times and start times of your game. But I think it's something simple as this is not a big deal. So that's one workaround you can do. The other, I'll go ahead and delete this code real quick. The other way is a little bit complicated, but not that complicated. And this is more for debugging purposes and to start learning exactly how NGUI is working. NGUI is obviously going by the resolution of your screen. It wouldn't go by anything else. It wouldn't make any sense to go by anything else. And that means that the position is a lot smaller. I believe it's exactly divided by 2. I don't know where exactly the math, but I'll put a link in the description to, I guess the creator, I think, posted a topic on the forums about the exact math that would have to take place. But it makes sense because it's UI. You're not going to use a camera to look around your UI. It would make absolutely no sense to be like, all right, well, I need to scroll over here to see my health bar, and I need to scroll down here to see my menu. It's pointless to do it that way. So obviously, it's designed to go by the resolution of your screen, so NGUI can automatically snap to where it needs to be. And it's really great that NGUI does that. It makes sense, and it's completely reasonable. So anyways, back in our code, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to create a public array, game object array. So I'm just going to do public game object, open close brackets, and then I'm going to name this, I guess I'll name it, that makes sense to me. I'll name it GUI objects. You name it whatever you want to. And then I'm going to do equals new game object array, and then I'm going to go ahead and cast 4 in there. Excuse me. I need to turn off the telesense sometimes. Sometimes I leave it on whenever I'm working with new tools, but it gets in the way a lot. So also we're going to create a vector 2D array, and I'm just going to name this GUI object vec objects vector. It's a crazy name, but works for right now. Vector 2, and we'll go ahead and cast 4 into that. So real quick, I'm going to Control S, file save, whatever, go back to our code block and make sure that our arrays were created. Alright, so we have GUI objects array size 4, and I really love Unity for this. You can change the size right in the inspector. You could have this script on many different, well, you wouldn't have this exact script on many different objects, but we'll talk more about arrays later with the Unity NU series. Alright, so you see we have GUI objects. This is pretty much our array. Arrays start at 0 and then they go down, so we have 4. It's 0 to 3. And then we did a GUI objects vector array. We did 4 because we're going to have 4 game objects. We're just going to handle 1 in this, but I wanted to show you the expansion that you could do on the script. And it's really great for debugging. And before I forget, let me go back to my main game menu and re-enable it. Alright, so back in our code, all I'm going to do is I need to gather some information, so I guess I'm going to do vector 2, and I'll do the first vector is going to equal, oh excuse me, not vector 2, GUI objects vector. I should have came up with a different name. That name is horrible. Anyways, alright, and it's going to equal our GUI objects. And it's going, so our first item in our array, our first item in our vector array is going to obviously be the first vector retrieved from our game object in its array. However, if you have a better way of explaining that, post it in the comments. And then we're just going to do .get component, and it's going to be transform, open close parentheses, and it's going to be .position. Alright, so all we did is we went ahead and set the first item in our GUI objects vector array to the transform position of our first item in our game objects. So I'm going to go back to the Unity editor, and I need to go ahead and drag and drop our main menu, which is this right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and click play. So as you can see right here, it went ahead and fetched that information from our first element, which was our main menu. And pretty much our X is -10 and our Y is 10 point, etc. This is where it gets confusing. This is where it gets into math. If we go up in our hierarchy and click on our main menu, we can obviously see right here that our Y-axis is equal to 150. So why, when we get the vector or the position in code, why does it equal such a small amount? Why is it -10 for the X-axis? It should be 0. It's in the center of the screen. And why is it equal 10 on the Y-axis? And that's mainly because NGUI works with very, very small numbers. It's like pixel by pixel. So don't try to wrap your head around that right now. This is a good way to debug, and I'm going to show you real quick how it's also a good way to move your elements around, or your sprites. Okay, and you know what? Also, let's go ahead and create a private boolean, and we'll make it the same thing we did last time, show main menu. And I'll set it to true because it is true. The main menu is currently, nope, I'm going to set it to false. And I'll tell you why. In our start, what we need to go ahead and do is actually, let's go ahead and create another vector. Let's create a private vector 2. This time it's not going to be a array, but we'll name this home vector equals new, and we'll zero it out. I know it may be kind of confusing right now, and I'm going to post the code so you can look at it more. But it's all going to come together here in just a second, and then you're going to be like, ah, okay, well, I understand it. it's the long way of doing this, but it gives you good debugging information so you can debug your program and see how everything's working. And that's what's important. If you know how the stuff's working, you're going to be able to create something amazing and tweak it the way that you want it, not the way that somebody else wants it, or not some generic way. As the first example I showed you, which was the very first thing I did to get around all this crap right here when I first started using NGUI. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to GUI objects, and we need to get our first GUI object and .get component, and we'll get the transform, and again open close parentheses position, but this time we're going to equal it out to our home vector. Okay, so now if I go over here to Unity and press play, it's got to compile the script. You see that our menu's gone. Our GUI objects vectors still equal the same, and that's mainly that's because we're pretty much getting the position of the object first before we send it off home. So that's great. We have this information, but where's our main menu? And this is really interesting and crazy. So as you can see right here, and I know this video is cutting it long, and I knew it would for this, but here's NGUI's UI stuff over here. Okay, and then vaguely we can see a menu, and there's our menu. It's gone 0, 0. I'll get out 2D real quick, and our menu has gone smack dab in the middle of our scene, our terrain, whatever, our plane, whatever we created in the other tutorials. This was for the Rival Theory Rain tutorials series. So there's our UI element. We zeroed it out, and it went in the middle of our plane. It didn't go in the middle over here. It went in the middle over here. That's fine. Not a big deal. It's fine for right now. Our main camera, or our game camera rather, cannot see the UI elements. Only our UI camera can for NGUI. So that's not a big deal. Obviously, we don't want to send in the middle of our scene or anything like that, but this is just an example, whatever. But it's pretty amazing. We sent it way down there. So let me go back to our menu button. I'll switch over to 2D. I'm going to try to get us back in frame here. Alright, so we set it off home, which is just having to be in the middle of our plane, whatever. But now we need to bring it back. We need to bring that menu back, and we need to bring it back where we originally had it, and then the user can manipulate it however they wanted to, or however they want to. So again, all I will do is I will do pretty much if show main menu is equal to false, else alright, and then what I will do is I will do the GUI objects, the first one, and then sometimes I forget what I'm doing. .get component and transform, and we'll do position equals, but instead this time equaling out to our home vector, because that's our off the screen vector or position. What we'll do is we'll set it to the default vector that we set at the start of this script. So that's pretty much just GUI objects. Again, it's a horrible name. GUI objects vector 0 because it's the first object. It's going to be the first vector. And then just like in the other script, we'll do, if I can spell today, show main menu equals true. We'll equal it out to true because we had, obviously, we're showing our main menu now. But we also need to be able to close our menu back. So it's going to be GUI objects again. It's going to be the first object, which is our menu. Get component. Transform. I'm going to close parentheses. Position equals GUI objects. Vector 0. And we'll set our show menu boolean to false. So I know this looks kind of complicated, but it's really not. It's using simple arrays and stuff like that. It's really useless if you're going to do it. If you're going to show and hide and move something, you might as well just do the disable enable method I showed you. But this is going to help you, like I said, grasp the concept of how it's handling these the position of your sprites and stuff like that before you dive in and start copying, cookie cutter code, and not understanding anything and always having to recite that code. So I'm gonna press play again. Alright, and our main menu is gone like it should be. However, as I said earlier, and as it was doing earlier, it did capture where it was at before I sent it home. So if I go and press this button, it's going to spawn back where I wanted it. Press it again, it's going to hide it. It's not going to hide it. You know why? Home vector. I make mistakes too. Not a big deal. I said it, I wasn't sending it home. I was sending it back to itself. Back to its old position. Alright, let's try this one more time. Press play. There we go. So, show, send it back to its original vector, close, or position, whatever you want to call it. And that's pretty much it. So, it's pretty much doing the same thing we were doing earlier, but we're gathering more information. And what's even better is now that we can actually see what Unity's seeing. We can see what NGUI's seeing on the position of this thing, because to our eyes in the inspector, when we click on main menu, let me show it real quick. When we click on main menu, it's equaling out to 150 on the y-axis. That's absurd. I know why it's equaling out to 150. I've got the resolution set small, mainly for this video and also for simple math for the next video, or in this series, or excuse me, in the intermediate series where we start doing math. But our resolution's 800 by 600. 600 divided by 2 is 300. And you pretty much cut it in fourths. It's going to be 150, 150, 150, 150. Okay. So our main menu is, I can fix that later. You say our main menu is 150. The 0 point of that, divide by 2, 75. So where you would do, yeah, see what I'm talking about? It's getting I'm not trying to bore you, but you can see where it's going to start getting a little confusing, and that's why it's going to the intermediate section. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hate the way that this video kind of went down. I know that everything went fast, but again, these are very, very simple techniques that you probably already know if you're using NGUI, or very simple workarounds. But I really wanted to highlight the second part of this tutorial so you can start grasping the concept of what NGUI is doing and how your sprites are being positioned. Because we all know in creating games or creating anything else, the position of our UI is very important. So with that being said, please subscribe and like. I'm so sorry pushing this video to 30 minutes. I promise next time it's not going to be this long. But please subscribe if you like the content so I can keep bringing these free semi-good tutorials your way. And hit the like button. It helps me out. It makes me feel good. Hit the dislike button if you don't like something. It's all good to me. Again, my name is Justin Gar with Core Work Node. I appreciate you for watching. Have a great day.